recommend that you use dry wood when you do this work. Now, if you look at the shape, it's still perfectly round. Even if it went out of round a little bit, it probably wouldn't have detracted from the look. But anyways, I did want to mention, when I pass this around, you'll feel these cracks, and that wasn't like this 6 months ago. Okay. Okay, so here's the technique. You can see the wood block that is on the lathe. Basically, it's two matching pieces of wood. All surfaces are planed or sanded to roughly, I'd say, 120 grit. I can't remember exactly. I glue them together with what's known as a paper joint. So you put glue on both wood surfaces, and you put a piece of paper in between. I use a brown paper bag, a grocery bag, but other people have used newspaper. I've never tried newspaper. It seems like it's too thin. Newspaper seems to be too thin in my mind, but other people like it. You put that together. The idea is that the glue does not soak all the way through the paper as it's drying, and so you'll be able to separate this wood after it's done. So you start with a block like this, and you turn it round, so a hemisphere. It's going to put in about a half hour. The more perfect this sphere is, the better off you're going to be in the long run. Okay, and I'll show you my tricks for making as perfect a sphere as I could make. Then I'll split the wood apart, and you can still see the brown paper on these when I pass them around, and you find the center. Then you're going to mount this sideways, so you turn it in this direction. I'm going to mount it this way and turn it in 90 degrees to hollow out the sphere. Okay. Now, and the more perfect you can find the center, the better off you're going to be. Now, I'm going to show you an example later on where I didn't hit it exactly on and how I corrected for that using the sanding on the drill press. Okay. Now, the other thing, when you pass these around, you're going to see that on this practice piece, when I was turning it around, big chips came off of the corners. Okay, so my first cuts here are going to be very careful to prevent this chip out. Okay. Did not chip out. This elm did chip out. And so I'm going to be extra careful when I do this spalted maple here today. Okay. And you'll notice when you see these that this is very close to a perfect sphere. And you'll see some tear out on the outside. The tool I use, I sacrifice some tear out. I will live with the tear out, compromise on the tear out in order to get a perfect sphere. Okay.
You like go end grain? I noticed you set up to do like an end grain.
I think you can go either way. The piece, that one, yeah, you could mount the faceplate on either side, I think. Yeah. And about halfway through, I'm going to be using some double-sided tape to attach it to a wooden faceplate. Now there is some chip out here. Once I get past this defect, I'll start worrying about that a little bit more. All right, a little bit better. I'm almost to fully round. For design reasons, I am at fully round, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper because it looks better when there's more gap between the square and the round. one other thing, gotta remind myself to zip that up. All right, that cut is getting a little bit cleaner. I'm gonna measure this diameter. Okay, so that's a little over 4 1/4. So that means 2 1/8 deep for a hemisphere. I'm going to go 2 just to be a little bit, allow myself a little leeway. This is mounted on a faceplate with the screws drilled into this. After I'm all done, I'll slice off the wood with the holes in it. One inch, including, which is probably a 1/2 inch into the wood. Yes. By the way, this wood is from Jim Pugh. He gave this to me around Thanksgiving time. The technique, okay, so I'm just going to approximate this right about here. I'm going to put my tool there just to get it close. And just checking for tear out to see how smooth it is on my way down to the cylinder shape. This wood is kind of a little bit punky. Boy, yeah, that's fair. It's getting a little better.
When you stop going in there, the depth of that, the 2 inches still going in,
Mm-hmm.
right there.
Yes.
In order to stop that chipping off, what if you went at the line that you had with a carving tool, 1/8 carving tool, and went in, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch deep?
Yeah.
And when you came up to it,
Well, I'll give it a shot, except I didn't bring my parting tool, did I? Yeah. Yeah. I'll try my easy wood tool. I definitely don't want to use that. I don't like that. Yeah. Try this one. Yeah, thanks, John. It's not bad. Still some tear out, but it's a pretty even surface. The more plainer it is, the better off you are too. I have a tendency to round the corners off because I'm not good at cutting air. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good for me anyways. Okay, so now I'm going to turn a hemisphere. I'm going to start by freehanding it, getting it close, and then I'm going to switch to a hole saw tool. Okay, that's not bad. These are hole saws where the teeth have been ground off, and then just a simple lag bolt to attach it to the handle. I can't see the size. This one's probably 2 1/8, and this one is 1 3/4. They both work. They'll both work on a piece like this. So you might know that one way of making a sphere is to use a perfectly round cap or a jar or some type of a circle as a gauge. If you put this on the sphere, if it's not perfectly flat, you know that you don't have a perfect sphere. So right now, if I'm holding it here, there's a gap on this side, so I know I've got to remove some up here in order to get this to hold there. Okay. So we've taken this one step farther and not just use it as a gauge, but use it as a cutting tool. So the entire inner surface of these pieces, after grinding, has a burr on it. And I'm cutting with the inside surface of this hoop. Okay. Now this steel is not exceptionally good steel, so you have to sharpen them reasonably frequently. But this is how I'll use a combination of these and scrapers in order to get down to the perfect sphere. I'll definitely show you sharpening within about 2 minutes. Yeah. I use 2 of them just because then I can more efficiently go between turning and sharpening. You can actually use a pipe. This one's a little bit too small for this type of this size sphere. But really, there's a pretty wide range of spheres I've made with these 2 tools, up to 6-inch diameter, and maybe this one's maybe 3.5 inches. I could go down to maybe 2, maybe not quite 2. Yeah, with the smaller one of these. It has to be smaller. The diameter of this has to be smaller than the diameter of the sphere you're making. I try not to press too hard, but you have to press somewhat hard in order to keep it from vibrating. Okay. One time it did catch and knocked my hand down and into the tool rest. I've only had to do that once. Now, and you rotate it to get a fresh cutting surface. Now you could also see that I'm getting I can get awful close to the interface between the square block and the round portion. But I will touch that up with I have a point tool here. It looks like a perfect sphere. As you go up here, you can see that it's too high right about here, as I could rock it. Also, there's quite a bit of tear out, but again, I'm going to sacrifice tear out. This wood, again, because it's spalted, it tends to be a little punky. I'll just live with that. Okay, the burr is completely gone off of this tool. I'll switch to this one. You hear how smooth it sounds down here. I'm going to take a little bit off with the scraper to speed things up. Now I still have a little bit of a flat right here, so I know I've got to do some more work here. If you ever made a sphere freehand, you have to, well, the way I do it is I mount it and then I cut it for a while, then I change the edges and I cut it for a while, and you never get it quite round, so the sphere keeps on getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Here, you don't have that luxury. You better get it right the first time, so that's why these whole cutters are so useful. I'm getting there. I put the tool rest very close, but I'm not relying on the angle of the tool rest at all. What I'm doing is I'm putting I'm supporting it on the tool rest, but I'm angling it such that it's pretty much perpendicular to the wheel as it's going to spin. And I'm going to rotate it slowly as it spins. I'm grinding the top and the bottom at the same time. That's it. It's got a nice burr again. Perfect. Okay, now, you cannot get this out of round. This has to be perfectly flat. So once every 10 sharpenings, I go to a disc sander and make sure it's flat and perpendicular to the table. Okay. You're right. Yeah. I don't use the outside. Yeah. By rotating it, I'm hoping to get it everywhere. Yeah, it's getting pretty close, but I still need to get rid of some right here. Where'd I put it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's still got that bump there. Again, it looks pretty good by eye, but when you cut it in half, you'll see right away that it's out of round. You see, I am removing quite a bit. Right there. Okay. Okay, I'm moving the out of round part down towards the tip, so I think that's evidence of progress. Pretty good there, not so good there. That's not bad. It's one more touch up with a sharp tool, and I'm going to call it victory. Okay, that's pretty good. If I was at home and I wasn't rushed for time, I would probably give it another 10 minutes. I damaged this corner when the thing flew out of my hand. I'm going to touch up this interface as best I can, and then split it apart. This is a diamond pointed carbide tip. Pretty good. Going to cut it in just a little bit more. Now there's no reason you have to stop the sphere exactly at the equator. This one here, I'm past the equator and I'm coming down just a little bit, and I'm freehanding that in with this. All right. So at this point, you could sand, there's some decent amount of tear out here in some of the areas. You could sand that smooth, but I'm going to be sanding it later on the drill press, so I'm going to not do that now. Take this off. Go. Okay. These are square drive. Again, I used the same screws and the same type of screwdriver that Jim Pugh told me about. I have a little fixture that I made. I turned a little cylinder, and I put a metal point on the tip. I screwed a screw into the tip, and it fits perfectly into this diameter. So when I put this down, the wooden dowel with a steel point fits right into this hole, and then I line it up and I drill it down. I don't think I brought that with me. Yeah. Yes, yes. Okay. Now, I don't know, just as no consequence, but I accidentally bookmatched these. That's pretty cool, huh? Yeah? Yeah. All right, I need to take my glasses off for this. This is just a knife blade. Could use my glasses again. Okay, there we are. All right. Now, I don't know if that's a good circle yet. I'll need the compass to tell. But my most recent one I practiced on, this one here. This is elm. When I found the circle, you could see that I missed the perfect circle relatively badly on the top and bottom. I hollowed it out anyways, and I freehand corrected for that on the drill press. And I'll show you that it's not that tough. It takes about 5-10 minutes to correct it. Now you'll also see quite a bit of tear out here. You won't see as much here. I did that by sanding, and one of these corners I didn't do too well on because of the sanding. But this is wet sanding with walnut oil, and that helps fill in the tear out a little bit. Now you'll see that they're short. The finished one is shorter than this one. That's because this still has the screw holes in it. This one I cut it off. It's not that thick. You could just run it through a table saw. Okay. So I'll keep these two together as you pass them on. You can compare the before and after on getting it round. All right. So while that's going around, I'm going to try to find the center. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to say, if I move it this way just a little bit. If you look, the pencil line is pretty good from about here up to here, but I curved it in too much near the interface. I think I'll survive with that. Yeah. Okay. So this circle, or the outer diameter of the wood, matches the pencil line up, except right close to the interface there. So this is the adapter from the one-way, which is metric threads, to a 1 1/4 inch 8 PPI thread that I use at home. And this is my old faceplate. It's a 1 inch diameter, so it's probably not the greatest, but I'm sure it'll survive. Next, okay. All right, the first step is to put some double-sided tape. I'm shocked at how good this double-sided tape works. You know, you can get it at craft supplies or those types of stores. You want Turner's tape. You do not want carpet tape. Okay. I got this from Jim Ballmer at his estate sale. Yeah. So it's going to be mounted like this. Yeah. When I first did these, I would do a double layer of not just double-sided tape, but also hot glue. And these, I've discovered after doing several of these that you really don't need the hot glue. This stuff is on there so hard that it sticks so well that I'll have trouble taking it off at the end. Yeah. Okay, so the main method here is to, I mark the center with a small awl hole, and I'll put that into the cone center, and I'll bring this up. Okay, the center's marked. So now what I do is I'm going to apply some pressure. While I'm waiting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this cone center to the live center. I'm going to apply pressure on this to set this double sticky tape. Well, I like to get a little bit wider, but it might work. Yeah. Did you get it? Thank you. This is only slightly bigger. The one-way cone center might be good also. I haven't used that one before. Okay, so this is just applying pressure to set that. While I'm doing that, I'll add this wedge to support it, to get it back. This is off-center turning now. This will help it get it back in balance and plus apply some extra support. Okay. Okay. And now I'd like to join the sphere to the wedge with a little bit of hot glue just to play it safe. Okay. That's it. Okay, now I want to talk about design for a few minutes. Okay. If this is a side view, it looks like this. I think it looks better if this distance is reasonably big. You don't want the sphere to come almost down to the bottom surface. I just think it looks better when it's cantilevered off more. Okay. When you look at the top view, again, the center of the sphere does not have to be on this line, on this plane. It could be in or out a little bit, and you can play with that. Now, Erwin Seidman's first ones that he made, he also made this block very short. And I look at those, and I don't think they're as cool looking as ones with a wide square piece. But again, that's a choice that you could make. You can make any piece you want. The longer this piece is, the more difficult it is to turn. The more out of round it is. Okay, or out of symmetry, out of balance. But I think the more you go in this direction, the cooler it looks, in my mind. Another thing is, my next experiment is I'm not going to put it in the center. I'm going to try to mount it such that I put it on the side. I think there's a lot of variations here you could try just to see what you like. And one other variation that I'm dying to try is I'm going to make a box, a lidded box out of this. With the second sphere, as the top with a little finial. I think that would be kind of cool to take it off like that. So those, again, there's lots of variations that Irwin started exploring 10 years ago. Besides that, there's really not much to it. You're stuck with a spherical shape. Okay. Now, I have seen a guy on YouTube, he does this, but he makes the complete sphere, and then he cuts the, instead of splitting it with this paper, he cuts it on a bandsaw. And you'd have to watch that to see exactly how he did it. I can't remember, I'm drawing a blank now. But anyways, there's more than one way to skin this cat. Okay, any other questions before I hollow it? Okay. Well, it would have been nice to try to get as much symmetry as possible. You can see it's off by about 15 degrees. Okay. Next thing is, move this in like this. Slow down the speed. Not bad. Okay. All right. Again, I'm going to start by defining the rim with my hollowing tool. This is what I learned. This tool, I always called it a Oland tool, O-L-A-N-D. It's a Swedish turner, I believe. It's just a steel, high-speed steel insert into a plain rod. This is frequently the straight hollowing tool from many hollowing sets like the Trent Boss set or the David Ellsworth set or the John Jordan set are very similar. But basically, I like it. I never get a catch with this tool. And never. And the 3/4 inch diameter really cuts down on vibration, so you could hang it over the tool rest quite a bit. And I'm going to start here just to define the diameter or the wall thickness, and then I'm going to switch to the bowl gouge. It's too thick. Okay. I think it's more out of balance than usual, and that's because I didn't put that wedge on carefully enough. How are we doing for time? Yeah. There's no other light? Yeah. Okay. Okay. When you measure the wall thickness, you have to measure it at the same place every time, because again, there might be instances of being out of round here. Got a long way to go. I'm going to switch to the Olin tool just because I have more confidence in that. I would like another light. Do you have it? Got a long way to go. Okay, everything is still holding tight. getting there. Usually this part goes faster, but I can't turn up the RPMs enough to make this truly smooth cutting. Okay, that looks real nice. There's tear out in that one area. Punky wood on outside and inside is tear out the same place. Still a little bit thick at the bottom. Still holding tight. Take just a little more off there. Pretty smooth. Oh, still got a bump right there. Okay. Alright, I'm going to smooth that out and say that's good enough. Alright. Well, let's say that's it. Okay. Now we remove it from the face plate, and I'll sand it. You could do some sanding on the lathe, but I'm anxious to get over there. You can see this tape is pretty damn strong. Plus this glue. Now, the glue that I buy is at Pat Catan's, the hot glue, and if you put mineral spirits on it, it'll erase or weaken the bond quite a bit. I have not tried mineral spirits on the tape. Also, you could use, when John Beaver came here, he had a special kind of high-strength glue, hot glue, and the mineral spirits didn't touch it. He had some other solvent that worked, acetone maybe, but we ended up using a hair dryer just to soften it a little bit. Okay, you can't really tell how perfect it is until you get rid of the paper. And I'll do that on the drill press there. But again, I've got a little bit of an issue with the with this area between this quarter of an inch from of the sphere where from the interface this way is not quite round. I'll have to live with that. All right, so on the drill press, I buy my walnut oil from Doctor's Wood Shop. It's an internet supplier. Mike Maloney also sells some. I think the equivalent there, not the stuff you buy in the grocery store. That stuff does not cure. Walnut oil is great for two reasons in my mind why I love it. Number one, there's no solvents. You can stick your hand in it, you could eat it, you could do whatever you want, and you're not exposing yourself to chemicals. Number two, least yellowing of any finish. So boiled linseed oil, tung oil, wipe-on poly, even lacquer has a yellow amber tone that it adds to the wood. Especially with spalted wood, you. Okay, I haven't heard of that one. I use water-based poly a lot, also because it's water white. It's very difficult to apply. I have trouble. I have to sand it back a lot, but I prefer it because of its whiteness, especially on spalted wood. This will turn it a little bit yellow. All right, so this is 120 grit. These pads are attached with a roll-lock fixture. This is sold by Ken Riza. He's the guy who sells the CBN wheels. I really like it. Wood Turning Wonders. Yes. He sells a packet, and each one, I have one different, I have 2 inch and 3 inch, and I have each one is customized or dedicated to a single grit. So this is my 120. You see I've marked it with the grit size. I only use that. So I don't tend to pull on and off the Velcro as much, and I think it makes the Velcro look. All right. All right, so I usually sand to get rid of the tear out first, and then I check the contour. It's got a little bit of a bump here. I'm going to get rid of that to make it look round. Funny how the bump was on the same side, both sides. I'm going to switch to the 2-inch to do the inside. Got to get rid of some of this tear out, then I'll check the contour again. Again, so this piece that's coming around, you'll see that when I'm the outer on that one is much worse than this, but it's still visible with your eye. Now that's the, usually I completely dry sand to 120 grit and then I switch to the oil and go to 240 down to 400. Because it's creating some dust here, I'm going to add the oil now. Just walnut oil. And it's heat treated or something that they do so it cures, which is why it's distinct from the walnut oil in the grocery store. Now you see, also, I make no effort to match the sandpaper to the shape to the sanding disc. If it folds over a little bit, it just makes the more. Okay. No, if it's loading up because of the oil, that means you need more oil. You want a slurry, not a sludge. This really is soaked in, especially on the end grain part, not surprising. I'm going to do a little bit more and then switch to the higher grits. I'm going to just in the interest of time. But you can see on the side, if you compare it to the piece that I didn't cut, you see it didn't take much effort to get rid of the tear out on the flat surfaces here. I find that the sandpaper lasts longer with wet sanding, not shorter. Okay, you will get a crud buildup, but you just oil, and it'll loosen up the crud. I'll switch to 240. Yeah. Walnut oil takes a long time to cure, several weeks. In the summertime, I put it on the porch, and to get direct sunlight, that helps. I also put it in my kitchen oven at 140 degrees F for a couple of hours. Otherwise, you just have to be patient. Then I buff it. Or sometimes I put varnish on top of the oil. $320. Tom, can I get a couple paper towels? Thank you. Okay. I'm going to stop here. I usually go to 400. I've got to go back home, and when I'm home in my leisure, I'm going to try to get rid of this tear out. In terms of the shape, I got to work on the shape a little bit too. But again, that's freehand. Just by doing this and examining it, I think I'm going to this interface is not perfectly flat. I'm going to try to get it flat, maybe with some hand files, because it's sloping. And the fact that it's cut in too much, I'm going to try to blend that out so that it might not be a perfect wall thickness, but it'll be more smooth and less noticeable. Now, you'll notice the darkening of the wood by the oil. It still looks good, but in my mind, with spalted wood, if this was at home, I would have been dry sanding the whole way and using water-based poly to keep the whiteness. So this is before and after. Okay. And the rest? Doctor's Wood Shop. It's a one-man business in Oregon.
Woodcraft is done here.
Oh yeah? Okay. He has about 10 different products. I use just the plain pure walnut oil. He has some blends with wax or blends with shellac. They all work great, but I only use the oil for sanding, and sometimes I go directly from sanding to buffing. But if I want something like a glossier build, I'll switch to varnish. Mm-hmm.